The morning mist clung to the alien landscape like gossamer threads, painting everything in ethereal silver as Marcus Chun adjusted his field equipment for the third time in 5 minutes. His hands trembled slightly, not from the cool air of Verdania Prime, but from anticipation mixed with nerves. As the expedition's lead botanist, he'd catalogued flora across 17 systems, but this was his first joint mission with a Luparian scout. "The human appears agitated," came a melodious voice from behind him, tinged with what sounded suspiciously like amusement. Marcus turned to find himself face to face with the most striking being he'd ever encountered. Kira Stellarwind stood, nearly 6 feet tall, her lithe frame covered in silver-gray fur that seemed to shimmer in the morning light. Her wolf-like features were elegantly refined pointed ears that swiveled with every sound, intelligent amber eyes that missed nothing, and a flowing tail that moved with unconscious grace. She wore practical expedition gear that somehow looked sophisticated on her athletic form. "Not agitated," Marcus managed, hoping his voice sounded steadier than he felt. "Just ... focused. This ecosystem is completely unique, the Convergent. Evolution patterns alone could revolutionize our understanding of adaptive botany." Kira's ears perked forward with genuine interest. "You speak of plants with the same reverence my people reserve for the hunt. Fascinating." She approached with fluid steps, her movements holding a predatory grace that made Marcus's pulse quicken. "I am Kira Stellarwind, tracker of the Moonhowl Pack. You must be the botanist who wrote the paper on symbiotic root networks in hostile environments." "You've read my research?" Marcus asked, surprised and oddly pleased. "Of course. My people value knowledge almost as much as instinct." Kira's lips curved in what he hoped was a smile, revealing delicate fangs. "Your theories about plant consciousness through chemical communication networks align remarkably well with Luparian understanding of pack bonds." As they began their trek into the dense alien forest, Marcus found himself stealing glances at his companion. The way she moved through the undergrowth was mesmerizing, every step calculated, every sense alert. Her ears constantly swiveled, picking up sounds his human hearing couldn't detect, while her tail helped her maintain perfect balance on treacherous terrain. "You're staring again, human," Kira said without turning around, though her tail gave what looked suspiciously like an amused swish. "Sorry," Marcus flushed, grateful she couldn't see his face. "It's just ... You're incredibly efficient. I've never seen anyone navigate terrain like this." "We Luparians evolved on a world where hesitation meant death," she replied, then paused, beside a massive tree whose bark pulsed with bioluminescent veins. "But I find your approach equally fascinating. You see connections I would never notice, the way this tree's root system communicates with those flowering vines, how the soil composition changes to support different species." Marcus approached the tree, his scientific excitement overriding his nervousness. "Look at these patterns," he said, running his fingers along the glowing bark. "The luminescence follows neural pathways. This entire forest might be one massive organism." Kira stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her body and catch her scent, something wild and pine-like that made his head spin. "Show me," she said softly. For the next hour, they worked in harmony. Marcus explained the botanical mysteries, while Kira shared her insights about the forest's behavioral patterns, how certain areas fell silent when predators passed, how the trees seemed to whisper warnings through rustling leaves. Their professional collaboration felt natural, as if they'd been partners for years, rather than strangers who'd met that morning. It was Kira's exceptional hearing that saved them. "Down," she hissed, tackling Marcus behind a fallen log just as something massive crashed through the canopy above them. A creature the size of a small transport landed where they'd been standing, its crystalline carapace refracting rainbow light as it scanned the area with multifaceted eyes. "Crystal Hunter," Kira breathed against his ear, her body pressed protectively over his. They're attracted to electromagnetic fields. Our equipment drew it here. Marcus's mind raced even as he tried to ignore how perfectly Kira's form molded against his. The mineral scanners, if we can overload them, create a bigger electromagnetic burst further away, ... Brilliant! Kira's eyes gleamed with approval. Can you reach your pack without moving too much? Working together in whispered coordination, they rigged Marcus's equipment to create an electromagnetic beacon. When the device activated 50 meters away, the crystal hunter's attention immediately shifted. As the creature lumbered toward the false signal, they quietly retreated deeper into the forest. Only when they were safely hidden in a grove of singing flowers, their petals chiming like bells in the breeze, did they allow themselves to collapse, adrenaline leaving them shaky with relief. That was incredible thinking, Kira panted, her tail curled around Marcus's waist in what he was beginning to recognize as a protective gesture. Most humans would have panicked. Most humans don't have a Luparian guardian watching out for them, Marcus replied, then immediately flushed at his own boldness. Kira's ears flattened slightly, a blush visible beneath her fur. Is that what I am? Your guardian? I don't know what you are, Marcus admitted, acutely aware of how close they sat, how her amber eyes seemed to glow in the dappled forest light. But I know I've never felt as ... connected to someone as I do with you. Is that possible? Between our species? Instead of answering immediately, Kira reached out to touch his face with delicate fingers. My people have a saying, the heart recognizes what the mind cannot understand. I feel it too, Marcus-chan. This pull between us. As the alien sun set, painting the sky in shades of purple and gold, they made camp in the flower grove. The singing petals created a natural symphony, while bioluminescent moss provided gentle illumination. Over a simple meal, they shared stories, Marcus of his quiet childhood among Earth's gardens, Kira of running with her pack under triple moons. In Luparian culture, Kira said as they lay side by side under the star-filled sky, we believe that some bonds transcend species, transcend understanding. We call it soul recognition. Marcus turned to face her, his heart hammering as he saw his own wonder reflected in her eyes. And you think that's what this is? I think, Kira whispered, moving closer until her breath warmed his lips, that some things are too important to analyze. Their first kiss was tentative, exploratory, two very different beings discovering an unexpected harmony. Kira's lips were softer than he'd imagined, and the small sound of pleasure she made sent warmth coursing through his entire body. When they finally parted, both slightly breathless, the singing flowers around them seemed to have changed their tune to something sweeter, more melodious. Marcus, Kira murmured against his forehead, her tail wrapping around them both like a blanket. There's something you should know about Luparian biology ... But the day's adventures and the intoxicating closeness of her had taken their toll. Marcus drifted into sleep before she could finish, one hand tangled in her silver fur, while she watched over him with glowing eyes, knowing their night together would change everything. Neither could have guessed just how profound that change would be. Dawn came softly to Verdania Prime, the alien sun painting the flower grove in warm amber hues that matched Kira's eyes. Marcus stirred first, momentarily disoriented by the symphony of chiming petals and the warm weight across his chest. Memory flooded back as he looked down at Kira's sleeping form, her silver fur catching the morning light like starshine. She was even more beautiful in sleep, her normally alert ears relaxed, her tail curled protectively around them both. The night they'd shared felt like a dream, tender touches, whispered endearments in two languages, and a connection that had transcended every barrier he'd imagined between their species. Kira's ears twitched, then her eyes opened, immediately focusing on his face with an intensity that made his breath catch. Good morning, beautiful, Marcus murmured, brushing a strand of silver fur from her forehead. Instead of the warm response he expected, Kira's expression grew troubled. She sat up quickly, putting distance between them as her tail wrapped nervously around her waist. Marcus, we need to talk. Her voice held an edge of anxiety that sent alarm bells ringing in his mind. That sounds ominous, he said, sitting up as well. Did I do something wrong? Last night was ... Perfect, Kira finished softly, her amber eyes meeting his with an emotion he couldn't quite read. That's precisely the problem. Marcus felt his heart sink. I don't understand. If it was perfect, then why? Because among my people, intimacy isn't just emotional or physical, Kira interrupted, beginning to pace the small clearing with agitated steps. It's biological, transformative. There are aspects of Luparian physiology I should have explained before we ... Before we what? Marcus stood, moving closer despite her obvious distress. Kira, whatever it is, we can work through it together. She stopped pacing, turning to face him with an expression caught between wonder and terror. Marcus, when the Parians truly bond with a compatible partner, it triggers certain ... changes. Adaptations that prepare us for reproduction, even across species barriers. The words hit him like a physical blow. Reproduction? You mean? I'm experiencing the early stages of reproductive synchronization, Kira said in a rush, as if the words were painful to speak. My body is already beginning to change, adapting to be compatible with your genetic material. It's something that only happens when our soul recognizes a true mate. Marcus stared at her, his mind reeling. Are you saying that one night together has ... made it possible for us to have children? Yes. Kira's tail lashed with nervous energy. Among my people, this is considered the highest honor proof of a bond blessed by the cosmos itself. But I realize humans don't share these beliefs, and I should have warned you before. Stop. Marcus crossed to her in 3 quick strides, taking her hands in his despite her attempts to pull away. Just stop. You're talking like this is some kind of disaster. Kira's ears flattened against her skull. Isn't it? We barely know each other, Marcus. You signed up for a botanical expedition, not to become bound to an alien for life. Bound for life? Marcus repeated, studying her face. Is that what this means to your people? The Parians mate for life, she whispered. Once the bonding process begins, it cannot be reversed. My body will only be compatible with you now. If you choose to leave, I'll never be able to have pups with another. The weight of her words settled between them like a heavy stone. Marcus understood now why she looked so frightened. She'd essentially bet her entire reproductive future on a human she'd known for less than 2 days. And if I stay? He asked quietly. Hope flickered in her amber eyes before she forced it down. Then we would be mates in the truest sense. Partners not just in heart, but in biology. Our children would be something new bridges between our worlds. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, processing everything she'd told him. The logical part of his mind was screaming that this was too fast, too strange, too impossible. But when he looked at Kira, really looked at her, he saw not just the exotic alien beauty that had first captivated him, but something deeper. A kindred spirit who shared his wonder at the universe's mysteries, who made him feel more alive than he'd ever been. How long do we have? He asked finally. Before the changes become irreversible? A few weeks, perhaps a month, Kira replied, searching his face desperately. Marcus, I know this is overwhelming. I know humans value choice and independence above all else. I won't blame you if you need to leave, to think about this somewhere far from me. Instead of stepping away, Marcus moved closer, cupping her face in his hands. Do you want me to leave? No, she breathed, leaning into his touch. By the twin moons, no. Every instinct I have is screaming to claim you, to make you understand what you mean to me. But I won't trap you with biology. The choice has to be yours. Then I choose you, Marcus said simply, and watched her eyes go wide with shock. I choose this impossible, beautiful, terrifying thing between us. I choose to see where it leads. But the implications are incredible, Marcus interrupted, his scientific mind finally catching up with his heart. Kira, do you realize what we're talking about? Successful hybridization between species that evolved on different worlds? It's unprecedented. It's miraculous. Kira's tail began to wag despite her obvious attempts to control it. You're not horrified? I'm amazed, Marcus laughed, spinning her around until she dissolved into giggles. Terrified, yes, but amazed. You're offering me the chance to be part of something that's never existed before, to help create new life that belongs to both our worlds. When he set her down, Kira's expression had transformed from fear to radiant joy. The changes will be gradual, she explained, unconsciously touching her abdomen. My body is already becoming more receptive, more adaptable. The process is designed to ensure the healthiest possible offspring. What do you need from me? Marcus asked, taking her hands again. How can I support you through this? Just be patient with me, Kara said softly. My instincts are going to become stronger, more possessive. I may need more physical contact, more reassurance. And there will be dietary changes, temperature preferences. We'll figure it out together, Marcus promised, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead. All of it, but Kira, I need you to promise me something. Her ears perked forward attentively. No more secrets, Marcus said firmly. If we're doing this, if we're really bonding for life, then we do it with complete honesty. Tell me everything about what's happening to you, what you need, what you're feeling. Kira nodded solemnly. I promise, and Marcus, thank you for choosing us, for choosing something impossible. Thank you for trusting me with something so precious, Marcus replied, pulling her close as the morning sun climbed higher over their alien sanctuary. They spent the rest of the morning really talking about their cultures, their fears, their hopes for the future. Kira explained more about Luparian bonding rituals, while Marcus shared human customs around relationships and family. They discovered unexpected commonalities. Both cultures valued loyalty. Both celebrated the arrival of new life. Both believed that love could overcome seemingly impossible obstacles. As they prepared to return to the research station, Marcus realized that his life had irrevocably changed in the space of 2 days. He was no longer just a botanist studying alien flora. He was about to become half of something entirely new. The thought should have terrified him. Instead, watching Kira move through the forest with newfound confidence, her tail high and her step light, he felt only anticipation. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. After all, love had found a way to bridge the gap between stars. Surely it could handle everything else the universe threw at them. 3 months had passed since that transformative morning on Verdania Prime, and Marcus still found himself marveling at how completely his life had changed. Their small quarters aboard the research station had been modified to accommodate Kira's evolving needs, softer lighting that didn't strain her increasingly sensitive eyes, temperature controls adjusted for her fluctuating comfort levels, and a nest-like sleeping area she'd instinctively begun constructing from soft fabrics. Your heart rate just spiked, Kira observed from across the room, not looking up from the genetic compatibility reports she'd been studying. Her hearing had grown even more acute as her pregnancy progressed, allowing her to monitor his vitals. From across the room, Marcus paused in his pacing, caught off guard as always by her heightened awareness. How can you possibly know that? Your scent changes when you're anxious, she explained with a gentle smile, finally setting aside her tablet. Plus, you've been wearing a path in the floor for the past 10 minutes. What's troubling you? The changes in Kira were subtle but profound. Her silver fur had taken on an almost luminescent quality, and her already graceful movements had become even more fluid. Most remarkably, her abdomen had begun to show the first signs of their unprecedented pregnancy, a slight rounding that filled Marcus with equal measures of wonder and protective instinct. "The medical board meeting is tomorrow," Marcus admitted, moving to sit beside her on the modified bed. "They want to discuss our situation again." Kira's ears flattened slightly, her tail wrapping around his waist in a gesture that had become second nature. "They still want to study us like laboratory specimens." "They're scientists," Marcus said, though his tone lacked conviction. "They're just trying to understand what's happening." "What's happening is that we're having pups," Kira said firmly, placing his hand over her abdomen where their children grew. 2 of them, according to the latest scans. 2 completely unique beings who deserve to be celebrated, not dissected. The warmth beneath his palm sent a familiar thrill through Marcus. They're twins, for that's what they were, despite the biological impossibility of it all, had been developing at a rate that baffled every expert consulted. Faster than human gestation, but slower than typical Luparian, as if their bodies were finding some perfect middle ground. "I won't let them turn our family into a research project," Marcus said, covering her hand with his other one. "I promise." "You that?" Kira leaned against him, her purr vibrating through both their bodies. "I know you won't." "But Marcus, there's something else we need to discuss. Something about Luparian lifespan." The change in her tone made Marcus tense. "What about it?" "My people typically live 3 to 4 times longer than humans," Kira said quietly. "I should have told you before, but with everything else happening so quickly, Marcus felt the bottom drop out of his world. "You mean you'll outlive me by centuries?" "That's what I thought," Kira said, then looked up at him with eyes that seemed to glow from within. "But the bonding process, it's changed more than just our reproductive compatibility. The medical scans show my cellular aging has synchronized with yours. We'll grow old together, Marcus. Truly together." Relief flooded through him so powerfully that he had to close his eyes for a moment. "You're sure?" "As sure as we can be about any of this unprecedented biology," Kira laughed softly. "Our bond is deeper than either of our species imagined possible. We're not just mates, we're becoming something new together." That evening, they attended a gathering of the research station's crew in the common area. Marcus had been dreading it, expecting more uncomfortable questions and barely concealed stares. Instead, he found something unexpected acceptance. "How are you feeling, Kira?" asked Dr. Nara Okafor, the station's xenobiologist, with genuine warmth. "Any unusual symptoms we should know about?" "Some heightened sensitivities," Kira replied, one hand unconsciously resting on her growing abdomen. "Enhanced hearing and smell, temperature fluctuations, but nothing concerning." "And the babies?" asked Jensen Torres, the communications officer. "The scans must be fascinating." "They're developing beautifully," Marcus said, unable to keep the pride from his voice. "Each one seems to be expressing different combinations of our genetic traits. It's like watching evolution happen in real time." As the evening progressed, Marcus realized that their colleagues weren't treating them as oddities to be studied, but as a family to be supported. When Kira grew tired and needed to rest her increasingly sensitive back, 3 different crew members immediately offered cushions. When she mentioned craving a specific mineral compound, the geology team promised to synthesize it in the lab. Later, in the quiet of their quarters, Kira was arranging soft fabrics in what Marcus had come to understand was nesting behavior. "They care about us," she said softly, smoothing a particularly soft blanket. "Your people." "I didn't expect that." "Not all humans fear what's different," Marcus replied, watching her work with fascination. Some of us are curious enough to embrace it. Like you did with me, Kira murmured, moving to curl up against his side. Even when I told you about the bonding, about what it would mean for your future. Especially then, Marcus said, stroking her silver fur. Kira, I need you to know if I could go back to that morning and make the choice again. Knowing everything I know now, I'd still choose you. Every time. Her purr deepened, and she nuzzled against his neck. Even knowing about the shortened lifespan worry, the medical board meetings, the fact that our children will belong fully to neither of our worlds, especially knowing all of that, Marcus said firmly, because they'll belong to something better. They'll belong to love, to the choice to create something beautiful, despite every logical reason not to. As if responding to his words, Kira's abdomen moved slightly. The first time they'd felt their babies stirring. Both parents-to-be went completely still, hands flying to cover the spot where new life was making itself known. Did you feel that? Kira whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. I felt it, Marcus breathed, all coloring his voice. They're really in there, really growing. Really ours, Kira added, tears glistening in her amber eyes. They spent the next hour just feeling for movement, talking softly to their unborn children, marveling at the miracle they'd created together. When they finally settled into sleep, Kira's tail wrapped protectively around them both, Marcus reflected on how completely his definition of family had expanded. 3 months ago, he'd been a solitary botanist whose greatest relationship was with his plants. Now he was part of something unprecedented, a bond that transcended species, logic, and every conventional understanding of what was possible. Medical board meeting tomorrow would bring new challenges, new questions about their unique situation. But as he drifted off to sleep with Kira, warm and safe in his arms, their children growing beneath his palm, Marcus felt only anticipation for the future. They were creating more than just a family. They were proving that love truly could bridge any distance, overcome any obstacle, transcend any boundary the universe might place between two souls meant to find each other. Whatever tomorrow brought, they would face it together, as they always had, as they always would. After all, they'd already accomplished the impossible once. Everything else was just details. In the months ahead, their children would be born healthy and perfect, each a unique blend of both parents' best qualities. The medical board would eventually transform from investigators to advocates, helping establish protocols for other interspecies families that would inevitably follow. But all of that lay in the future. For now, there was only this moment, two beings from different worlds, creating new life through the simple, extraordinary power of love that knew no boundaries. And in the gentle hum of the station around them, the soft sound of Kira's purring, and the faint stirring of new life within her, Marcus heard the symphony of a future beyond anything he'd ever dared to dream.